Evil has met its match. The Hunt with John Walsh, tomorrow night at 9.
The newest development from that horrible shooting in Chattanooga, Tennessee, is a tragic one. The one U.S. serviceman who was badly wounded, shot 3 times, died early today in the hospital. Witnesses say Petty Officer Randall Smith warned people around him when he saw the gunman, but he wasn't able to get out of the line of fire. Smith is now the 5th shooting victim to die. 4 U.S. Marines were also killed. And we've learned the gunman was a naturalized U.S. citizen born in Kuwait. His motivation for killing American service members is still not known. I want to get moving shaken here. He is an author who used to live the life of a jihadist before he went to work against extremism. Also with us, David Gletty, a former undercover agent for the FBI. Move in. You have seen the blog allegedly written by the shooter. It references some Islamic philosophies, yet the FBI has not been able to link him to any specific organization. What does your gut say about this man, Mohammed Abdulaziz? Muslim extremist?
Well, I mean, the problem with the blog post is it doesn't really show any affinity to any particular group. I mean, there is a statement about the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. He's saying that, you know, they weren't monks in a monastery, they were also fighters and warriors, and that, I guess, it's true factually, but I mean, is that militancy, extremism? It's hard to say. There are a couple of things that what I call ISIS speak, in the sense that number one, he did it in the fasting month, and this is what the ISIS leader has called for, ISIS spokesperson has called for, and number two, he references hijrah, to emigrate to the Islamic lands, which is again what ISIS says. But again, there's a complete lack of information in this regard. Usually with cases like this, you're going to see Facebook posts, Twitter, something where, you know, either he vociferously hates America or whatever it is, something to go on. In this case, there's really nothing.
That's what makes this one in particular such a mystery, it seems. David, we know there's been some research done, and this research center called New America from Washington found that twice as many people in this country are killed by white supremacists and anti-government extremists than by Muslim fanatics. Which group is the biggest threat, do you think, to national security?
I would have to say both of them right now. From what I know from an undercover capacity, both of these groups, just look at the facts, the big elephant in the room. Of course, you have black crimes that we're used to, Hispanic crimes that we're used to, but this we're not used to. We're not used to white extremists going into churches and shooting black people or white people, and extremists from Middle Eastern descent shooting Marines and sailors on a base. And this is to be expected. This is going to happen more and more because of the melting pot of what we have in America, and we're not getting along enough as Americans right now. And these extremists, whether they're white power extremists or of Middle Eastern descent, they're looking to be a part of something. There's 3%. You know, not all people are evil, but 3% of any group are evil, and they're the ones that go out and do the things. And these guys want to be a part of something, whether they're white power or Middle Eastern descent. They want to cause terror and fear amongst the American people and disruption in the American government. And now's the time for us to act, because it's not going to stop on its own.
Mubin, you point out that there is a difference between how Muslim extremists are portrayed versus these anti-government or right-wing extremists. Explain, and why do you think it is?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we're conditioned. We're conditioned to expect that if a Muslim kills somebody, it's got to be terrorism, or it's because of his religion. If he robs a store or something, it's the Muslim thief. And because we're conditioned, there are wars happening in the Middle East, and it's impossible for the public, to separate those two things. So there's a clear discrepancy in the way a Muslim extremist is depicted versus white supremacist extremist. For example, the Charleston shooter fits the definition of a terrorist. I mean, it was a public space, it was civilian people, and he wanted to do it to start a civil war. I mean, that's political motivation. But I mean, there's a clear reluctance to call it terrorism.
We did call it terrorism here on CNN, just for the record. David, what's most important here is how do you fight these particular threats? And when we're talking about separate groups, yet attacking and harming Americans, how can you fight these threats? Is it the same approach, or should law enforcement take a different approach for each side?
there has to be a different approach taken, because obviously what is going on now does not work. And of course, you can't blame any administration in power. Some people want to blame President Obama, President Bush. We as Americans have to get past all that. It's up to us as the Americans, as the first responders, to first educate our children, no matter what our background is, what our beliefs are, what our gender is. It does not matter. We as Americans need to come together, and first off, we're the parents. Talk to our children. Watch what they're doing, who they're associating with, because they're being radicalized no matter in what different beliefs, white power extremism, or the, like I said, Middle Eastern descent right now. It's up to us as the adults to watch our children. We're smarter than our children, much to much people's surprise, and we're the adults. Take charge and educate our children. And the school systems need to take charge. Our own government needs to first take the step and say, yes, this is a problem, but no administration wants that to happen on their watch, so they play politics and point fingers, but they're very slow to react. Just wait for it to go away, and then boom, here it is again a couple months later. Right now, the American people need to be outraged and call upon our president to take steps. We need to be more in touch with the different groups here in America.
Well, we all hope that we can get a handle on the issue. That's for sure. David Gletty, Mubin Sheikh, thanks to both of you for your time and expertise.
Thank you very much.
Coming up, outrage.
Evil has met its match. The Hunt with John Walsh, tomorrow night at 9.